Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Mhm.
Today we're going to be looking at the future of digital advertising in India.
Oh, this should be interesting.
It is. It is. I've been going through these reports from Dentsu and PwC, and
Oh, wow. Those are
yeah,
some big names.
they are. And just to prepare everyone listening, let me tell you, India's advertising landscape is on the verge of a major transformation.
Yeah, things are definitely changing fast.
So, are you ready to jump in and explore this dynamic market with us?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. Well, both reports really highlight this massive growth that's happening in the Indian advertising industry overall,
Huge growth
but especially,
in digital.
yeah, in digital advertising.
Okay.
So Dentsu predicts this 6.87% compound annual growth rate for the entire advertising industry,
Okay.
reaching a total value of 1,015,460 crore rupees by 2026.
Okay.
That's for the whole industry.
Okay.
But digital is projected to just skyrocket at a 19.09% CAGR, hitting a massive 69,856 crore rupees.
Wow. So digital is really taking the lead there.
Oh, absolutely. It's like almost 2/3 of all ad spending by then.
That's incredible. And that aligns with what PwC found, too. They actually put India as the second fastest growing internet advertising market globally.
It's a global phenomenon.
It is. And it really highlights this shift in how brands are connecting with people.
You have to go digital.
Exactly. If you're a marketer in India right now, you absolutely need a solid digital strategy.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this shift away from traditional media to digital.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dentsu's report actually shows some pretty clear numbers on this. By the end of 2024, digital advertising already had a 49% share of total ad spending.
Wow. That's,
Almost half.
yeah, almost half.
Yeah, leaving traditional media like TV and print way behind.
So what were the numbers for those?
Let's see, for TV it was about 28%,
Oh, wow.
and for print it was 17%.
Okay, so they're still holding on, but
Yeah, but
digital's
definitely taking over.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because globally, TV advertising is actually declining. But in India, it seems to be holding steady. PwC's report even shows continued growth in the TV market there.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah, maybe it's that love of Bollywood.
Yeah.
Or those epic cricket matches.
I think you're right. But even with that, you can't deny the power of digital percent. Dentsu predicts it'll grab a whopping 61% share by 2026.
61.
61%.
Wow, so more than half of all ad spending.
More than half, yeah. It makes you wonder what's driving this surge beyond the usual suspects like e-commerce.
Well, Dentsu actually points out some pretty interesting trends. One is the travel sector.
Oh, yeah.
They had a massive 33.4% ad spend surge in 2024.
I remember seeing those Chalo India campaigns everywhere.
Right. It seems like they were really effective at attracting tourists.
They were a perfect example of using digital to reach a global audience.
And it's not just travel. The telecom sector is also going all in on digital. They're allocating 66% of their entire media budget to it.
Wow, that's a huge commitment.
It is. And it shows that brands across different sectors are recognizing the power of digital to connect with people.
Absolutely. And here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
We're seeing this really fascinating wave of premiumization happening in India.
Premiumization. So what does that mean exactly?
Well, according to my Q section in the Dentsu report, it means that Indians are choosing more and more premium products, even for their everyday purchases.
Oh, interesting.
This premium segment is actually growing a whole 30% faster than regular products.
That's a significant difference.
It is. It makes you wonder what's driving that shift towards premium.
Right. It seems like a few factors are at play. Think about the car market. 60% of new cars sold in 2024 were either SUVs or high-end vehicles.
Oh, wow. So people are willing to spend more on their cars.
And it's not just cars. Luxury real estate is booming, too.
Oh, really?
And the financial sector is seeing record growth in investments. It seems like people are willing to spend more for quality and for experiences.
That's a powerful insight for brands, isn't it?
It is. If consumers are moving towards premium, brands need to think about how to tailor their messaging and even their products.
Yeah, to really tap into that trend.
Yeah,
You have to understand your audience and their aspirations.
exactly.
Now, we can't talk about digital advertising in India without talking about OTT.
Oh, OTT. Everyone's talking about it.
It's the buzzword of the moment.
Yeah.
And for good reason. Remember those days of cable TV?
Oh, yeah.
Well, get ready for OTT to be even bigger. PwC actually predicts it will be the third fastest growing segment in India,
Really?
and it's expected to double in size by 2028.
So that's a huge opportunity for advertisers.
Oh, it's a massive opportunity.
Yeah.
Especially considering how engaged people are with their streaming content.
It's true. OTT allows for much more targeted and integrated advertising.
And when people are engrossed in their favorite shows,
They're more likely to pay attention to the ads.
they are. But even with all the excitement around digital and OTT, we can't forget about the importance of content,
You're absolutely right. Content is still king.
no matter what platform you're on.
Exactly. And Dentsu highlights a really good example of this with Amazon MX Player.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
They're offering premium content for free to a massive 250 million users.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It is. It shows how brands can leverage these platforms to reach a huge audience with high-quality content.
And it's not just about throwing any old ad up there.
It's about creating engaging content that seamlessly integrates with the viewing experience.
People are more likely to remember an ad if it's actually part of a show they're enjoying.
Exactly. It's about telling stories, not just selling.
I like that. And speaking of things that are changing the game, let's talk about generative AI.
Oh, yes, generative AI. It's revolutionizing everything about advertising.
It really is. It's like this futuristic force that's changing how we create and experience advertising.
PwC actually found that a quarter of entertainment and media companies already have a full strategic roadmap for implementing generative AI.
Really?
That many.
A quarter of them.
They're ahead of the game.
They are. And the ways they're using it are incredible.
Tell me more. They're using generative AI for personalized marketing, creating content in multiple languages, even AI-powered video editing.
It sounds like the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting to see where this technology will take us.
Okay, so we've thrown a lot of information out there.
We have.
Digital growth, premiumization, OTT, generative AI.
A lot to digest.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So let's bring it back to our listeners. What does all of this mean for you?
That's the key question, isn't it?
It is. The main takeaway here is that the future of digital advertising in India is incredibly dynamic.
Dynamic and exciting.
It's not just about keeping up.
It's about staying ahead of the curve.
It's about understanding these trends and figuring out how to leverage them.
Exactly. We're talking about a complete shift in mindset and strategy for brands.
So let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps people can take to navigate this evolving landscape?
Well, both Dentsu and PwC offer some helpful insights on that. For example, Dentsu talks about this idea of embracing the now.
The now.
Yeah, leveraging the momentum of all these innovations that are happening right now and not being afraid to experiment.
So being agile and adaptable.
Exactly. The digital world is constantly changing, so brands need to be able to move quickly and try new things.
And PwC talks about this digital renaissance that's happening in India.
I love that phrase.
I do too. It captures the energy and excitement of what's happening.
And it's a really apt description given how rapidly things are changing in the Indian digital landscape.
But it's important to remember that even with all this change, India still holds on to its traditions.
Yeah, that's what makes India so unique. It's this blend of progress and tradition.
We're seeing generative AI surge forward at the same time that traditional crafts are gaining more prominence.
It's a fascinating paradox.
It really is, like two worlds colliding and creating something entirely new.
And it's not just happening in one industry, it's happening across different sectors.
Like retail.
Yeah, retail is a great example. You have technologies like Retail Media 2.0 and unified commerce transforming how people shop.
And at the same time, generational values are shaping brand engagement.
It's a complex and multi-layered landscape.
It is. And speaking of retail, Dentsu highlights how retail media is becoming a major disruptor.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It's projected to reach 11,293 crore rupees by the end of 2024.
That's incredible.
It is. And that's almost 23% of all digital media spending.
So what's driving that growth?
It seems like brands are really starting to understand the power of first-party data
Oh yeah.
to target consumers with much more precision.
They're even surpassing traditional digital platforms in some cases.
Exactly. So it's not just about being online anymore. It's about creating this seamless experience across online and offline channels,
What we call omni-channel strategies.
reaching consumers at multiple touch points throughout their journey.
Exactly. And Dentsu predicts that this trend will only continue.
Yeah, with even more categories jumping on the retail media bandwagon.
It's definitely something to watch.
It is. Now, let's not forget about the importance of sustainability in all of this.
Yes, sustainability is crucial.
Dentsu actually had a great section on how brands need to move beyond just doing good.
And focus on doing right.
I love their whole Sampoyoshi philosophy.
Oh, me too.
The idea that business growth should benefit customers, the business itself, and society as a whole.
It's a really holistic approach.
It is. It's about baking sustainability into every aspect of the company.
From diversity and inclusion to bridging the digital divide and achieving plastic positivity.
You can't just be a PR stunt.
Consumers can see right through that.
They're smart. They want brands to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
And there's a real opportunity for brands to connect with consumers on that level, to show that they genuinely care about making a positive impact.
Now, here's something that really made me think. Channel Factory in the Dentsu report talked about the challenge of misaligned content.
Oh yeah, misaligned content. That's basically wasted media spending.
It is. And it's a problem because brands could be inadvertently supporting content that goes against their values.
Or alienating their target audience.
Yeah, exactly. They actually found that a whopping 28% of media impressions could be running against misaligned or unsuitable content.
Wow, that's a lot of wasted ad spend.
It's a huge loss, both in terms of money and brand reputation.
So what's the solution?
They call it conscious advertising.
Conscious advertising. That sounds interesting.
It's about brands using their platform and influence to support positive and impactful creators.
Oh, so aligning your advertising with content that actually reflects your values.
Exactly, and aligning it with content that resonates with your audience.
And they found that doing this can actually improve return on investment by up to 25%.
So it's not just about doing good, it's also good for business.
It's a win-win.
It is. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something that both reports highlighted.
Okay, what's that?
The evolving tone of advertising in India.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. It's not just about slapstick humor anymore.
There's definitely a shift happening. We're seeing a move towards more mindfulness-driven storytelling.
Especially when targeting millennial and Gen Z audiences.
They want authenticity. They want brands to reflect their values and be part of a larger conversation.
And I think that's a great opportunity for creative agencies to create campaigns that are not just clever, but also meaningful and impactful.
Campaigns that actually make a difference.
Exactly. And it brings us back to this idea of the human element being so crucial in the digital age.
It's not just about data and technology.
It's about using those tools to tell stories that connect with people on an emotional level.
And those are the stories that will truly resonate with consumers.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and talk about something else that both reports agree on.
All right, what's that?
India is rapidly becoming a mobile-first nation.
It's true. Everyone's on their phones these days.
And that's having a major impact on the advertising industry.
For sure. Brands need to adapt their strategies to this mobile-first reality.
PwC actually mentions that Indians spend a staggering 78% of their time on mobile phone apps related to entertainment and media.
78%.
It's a lot of time. And it means that brands need to think about how to create mobile experiences that are engaging and user-friendly.
It's about meeting your audience where they are.
Exactly. And in India, that's increasingly on their phones.
So the question for brands becomes, how are you adapting to this mobile-first world?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. It's something that every brand needs to be thinking about.
Absolutely. Now, something else that stood out to me was PwC's emphasis on regulatory compliance in the digital age.
Yeah, that's important, especially with the implementation of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023.
Brands really need to prioritize building trust with consumers by being transparent about how they're using their data.
It's not just about ticking boxes.
It's about creating a culture of data ethics within your organization.
Exactly. Consumers are becoming more and more concerned about data privacy and security.
They want to know that their information is being handled responsibly.
And brands that can demonstrate that commitment to data ethics will have a competitive advantage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's clear that the Indian digital advertising market is incredibly complex and constantly evolving.
It's a dynamic landscape with both challenges and opportunities.
It is. And those opportunities lie in embracing new technologies, understanding consumer behavior, and using data to create personalized and meaningful experiences.
It's about staying ahead of the curve and being ready to ride the next wave of innovation.
And it's about being bold and willing to experiment.
Absolutely. So as we move forward, how can brands use these insights to create experiences that are not just personalized, but truly meaningful and impactful for the Indian consumer? That's something worth thinking about.
It is a really good question to consider.
Yeah, it really is like looking through a kaleidoscope and seeing these different trends and possibilities all coming together.
Yeah, and it's interesting because both reports emphasize that even with all this technology and automation, the human element is still so important.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about algorithms and data. It's about using technology to really connect with people. Huh.
On a deeper level. Yeah, and Dentsu talks about this idea of embracing the now.
The now.
Yeah, like leveraging all these innovations that are happening right now and not being afraid to experiment.
Right, because the digital world is constantly evolving. You have to be able to move quickly and try new things.
It's like the future is unfolding in real time.
And PwC actually calls it a digital renaissance for India, which I think
love that phrase.
it's so fitting.
It really captures the energy and the excitement.
Yeah, and it highlights how quickly things are changing.
But even with all this change, India still holds on to its traditions.
That's what makes it so fascinating. It's this blend of progress and tradition.
You see generative AI surging forward while traditional crafts are gaining prominence.
It's a really interesting paradox.
It's like two worlds colliding and creating something entirely new.
And it's happening across different sectors.
Yeah, like in retail.
Exactly. You have these new technologies like retail media 2.0 and unified commerce transforming how people shop.
But at the same time, generational values are influencing brand engagement.
It creates this really complex and dynamic landscape.
It does. And speaking of retail, Dentsu points out how retail media is becoming a major disruptor.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's projected to reach 11,293 crore rupees by the end of 2024.
Wow.
And that's almost 23% of all digital media spending.
So why is it growing so fast?
It seems like brands are starting to really understand the power of first-party data to target consumers
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
with so much more precision.
And in some cases, they're even surpassing those traditional digital platforms.
They are. So it's not just about being online anymore. It's about creating this seamless experience across online and offline channels.
That omni-channel strategy.
Exactly, reaching consumers at multiple touch points throughout their entire journey,
And Dentsu predicts that this trend is only going to continue.
with even more categories joining the retail media world.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Now, let's not forget about sustainability.
Oh, yes, sustainability is so important.
Dentsu has a great section on how brands need to move beyond just doing good.
And start doing right.
I love their Sampoyoshi philosophy,
Me too.
where business growth should benefit everyone involved, the customers, the business, and society.
It's about creating a positive impact on all levels.
It is, and it's about baking sustainability into every aspect of the company.
From diversity and inclusion to bridging the digital divide and even achieving plastic positivity.
It can't just be a PR stunt.
No, consumers are too smart for that. They can see right through it.
They want brands to actually walk the walk.
And I think there's a real opportunity for brands to connect with consumers on that level to show that they genuinely care about making a positive impact.
I agree. Now, here's something that really got me thinking.
Okay, what's that?
Channel Factory and the Dentsu report talked about misaligned content and how it's essentially wasted media spending.
Oh, yeah. That's a problem because it means that brands could be supporting content that goes against their values or even alienates their target audience.
Exactly. And they found that a whopping 28% of media impressions could be running against misaligned or unsuitable content.
That's a lot of wasted spend.
It is a huge loss for brands, both financially and in terms of their reputation.
So what's the solution?
Well, they call it conscious advertising.
Conscious advertising.
Yeah, it's about brands using their platform and influence to support creators who are creating positive and impactful content.
So aligning your advertising with content that reflects your brand values.
And content that resonates with your audience.
And what's interesting is they found that doing so can actually improve your return on investment by up to 25%.
So it's not just about doing good, it's good for business too.
It's a win-win situation.
Now, before we move on, I want to mention something that both reports highlighted.
All right, what's that?
The changing tone of advertising in India.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
It's not just about slapstick humor anymore.
Right. There's definitely a shift happening.
We're seeing this move towards more mindfulness-driven storytelling.
Especially for those millennial and Gen Z audiences.
They want authenticity.
They want brands to reflect their values.
And be part of a larger conversation.
And I think this presents a really great opportunity for creative agencies to step up and create campaigns that are not just clever, but also meaningful and impactful.
To create campaigns that make a difference.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that human element being so crucial in this digital age.
It's not just about the data and the technology.
It's about using those tools to tell stories that connect with people on an emotional level.
Because those are the stories that will truly resonate.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something else both reports agree on.
All right, what's that?
India is quickly becoming a mobile-first nation.
That's true. Everyone's always on their phones.
And that's having a huge impact on advertising.
Of course, brands need to adapt.
PwC actually mentions that Indians spend a staggering 78% of their time on mobile apps related to entertainment and media.
78%. That's a lot of time.
It is. Which means that brands need to be thinking about how to create mobile experiences that are really engaging and user-friendly.
You have to meet your audience where they are.
Exactly. And in India, that's increasingly on their phones.
So the big question is, how are brands adapting to this mobile-first reality?
That's the question everyone needs to be asking.
It is, and there's no easy answer.
Now, one more thing that stood out to me was PwC's focus on the importance of regulatory compliance.
Oh, yes, that's crucial, especially with the new Digital Personal Data Protection Act.
Right. Brands need to make sure they're being transparent about how they're using consumer data.
And building trust.
Exactly. It's not just about ticking boxes.
It's about creating a culture of data ethics within your organization.
Because consumers are becoming more and more aware of data privacy and security.
They want to know that their information is being handled responsibly.
And brands that can demonstrate that commitment to data ethics will have a real advantage in the market.
Absolutely. So it's clear that the Indian digital advertising market is complex and constantly evolving.
It's a dynamic landscape with both challenges and opportunities.
But ultimately, it's about embracing change, understanding the consumer, and leveraging these insights to create experiences that are truly meaningful and impactful.
And that's what we'll continue to explore as we dive into some specific strategies that brands can use to navigate this dynamic market.
Yeah, it feels like we're right on the edge of this massive wave about to crash over the Indian advertising market.
What a great way to put it. And PwC actually gives us some pretty good surfboards to ride that wave.
Surfboards.
Yeah, and in the form of these strategic recommendations, they have this whole section on strategies for success.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key things brands should be doing to ride this wave?
Well, one of their most interesting recommendations is actually aimed at regional or niche players.
Okay.
They suggest considering consolidation, increasing their size and scale so they can compete with the bigger players in the market.
So like banding together to create a more powerful force? It's exactly strengthen numbers, right? Especially when you're going up against those industry giants. And they also talk about the importance of social media for marketing and distribution.
Makes sense. Social media is huge in India.
Oh, absolutely. But they're not just saying throw up a few posts on Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
They're talking about having a really well-defined strategy, understanding your target audience, creating content that truly engages them.
Content that people actually want to see, not just another ad that gets scrolled past.
Exactly. And they even suggest getting creative, exploring new areas like esports, online gaming, even indigenous sports.
Oh, wow.
It's about aligning your content strategy with those evolving consumer behaviors, tapping into these emerging trends.
Because consumers are always hungry for new and exciting experiences.
They are, and brands need to be able to cater to that demand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, another strategy they highlight is investing in cost optimization.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Using analytics, audits, and automation to reduce operational production and post-production costs.
So basically working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Finding those ways to streamline your processes and make the most of your resources.
Right, and that's where technology can play a huge role, helping brands make more data-driven decisions and automate those repetitive tasks.
Okay, and of course we can't forget about generative AI.
Oh, of course not. It's the ultimate tool for innovation.
It is, and PwC is all over this.
Yeah.
They're really advocating for using generative AI to create this hyper-personalized content and enhance the user experience.
And they specifically point out how this can be really beneficial for regional players who might need to bridge that technology gap.
So it's like AI can level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Giving those smaller players access to some really powerful tools.
Now, Dense's report also has some interesting strategies.
Yeah.
One that caught my eye was harnessing the power of influencers.
Oh, influencers. Everyone loves influencers.
They can be so effective, especially for premium brands targeting those affluent audiences.
Right, because they can really shape those consumer perceptions and drive those aspirational purchases.
But it's not just about partnering with any influencer.
You have to find the right fit for your brand, someone who aligns with your values and resonates with your target audience.
Authenticity is so important.
Absolutely. Consumers can spot a fake from a mile away.
Now, Dentsu also emphasizes the importance of understanding and leveraging cultural nuances.
Oh, that's so important, especially in a market as diverse as India.
It's about recognizing that India is not homogeneous market.
Right. There are so many different subcultures and micro-communities.
And your message needs to resonate with each of them.
Exactly. So they talk about going beyond those simple translations, creating content that's truly culturally relevant.
Speaking to the specific needs and aspirations of all those different consumer segments.
Because a one-size-fits-all approach just won't cut it.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
Okay, one last strategy I want to touch on is something Dentsu calls moments triggers.
Moments triggers.
Yeah, it's this idea of maximizing your share of voice during those key moments.
So like capitalizing on trending events or cultural moments.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and opportunistic, using those moments to really stand out from the crowd.
So you have to be agile and responsive, ready to act quickly when those opportunities arise.
It's about having your finger on the pulse and being able to capitalize on those moments when they happen.
I like it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's pretty clear that the future of digital advertising in India is full of potential.
It is.
It's a dynamic and exciting market that requires a lot of creativity and strategic thinking.
And a deep understanding of the Indian consumer.
Absolutely. But for brands that are willing to adapt and innovate, the possibilities are endless.
It's about embracing change, staying ahead of the curve, and putting the consumer at the center of everything you do.
I think that's a great takeaway. So as we look ahead, how can brands use these insights to create experiences that are not just personalized, but truly meaningful and impactful for the Indian consumer?
That's the question we all need to be asking.
It is, and hopefully this deep dive has given everyone some food for thought.
I think it has, and we'll continue to explore these fascinating topics in our future deep dives.
Until then, keep exploring, keep innovating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of digital advertising.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.